Elder Song, you mean, is it possible that there really exists a superpower at the heavenly supreme level in the Wandering Realm? Impossible, right? Before the martial realm was established, for at least 1,000 years, there has been no record of a heavenly supreme level powerhouse in this Wandering Realm. If there were a heavenly supreme powerhouse, this entire realm would have likely been unified long ago, right? Elder Song's words immediately sparked a heated discussion among the many elders in the hall. They all looked at Elder Song in disbelief. I didn't say there is definitely a heavenly supreme powerhouse here, only that it's a possibility, just a possibility, Elder Song said. There are things you likely don't know about. During the ancient era's world-ending war, the Great Thousand Worlds had 12 super battlegrounds. Have you ever heard of this? Upon hearing this, the elders exchanged glances, then shook their heads. They had never heard of these so-called super battlegrounds. In ancient times, the extraterrestrial races didn't focus their world-ending war on a single location. They had a planned attack on both the Great Thousand Worlds and the lower dimensions. Within their plan, there were 24 concentrated battle zones. 12 of these were in the lower dimensions, and 12 were in the Great Thousand Worlds. The 12 attack points in the Great Thousand Worlds are what we call the super battlegrounds, Elder Song explained. As he spoke, the eyes of those present, including Lin Dong, narrowed slightly, as if they were pondering something. The Great Northern Realm, the Relic Continent, the Western Heaven Realm, the Great Thousand Continent, the Blast Membrane, and several other places, are all part of the so-called 12 super battlegrounds in the Great Thousand Worlds, Elder Song continued. Then he said something that shook everyone to the core. And the Wandering Realm we are in right now is also one of the 12 super battlegrounds. What? Such a thing exists? I've never heard of this before. The Great Northern Realm, which is adjacent to the Wandering Realm, was once an ancient battlefield. We've heard a little about that, but the Wandering Realm doesn't seem to have any record of large-scale wars, does it? The elders voiced their confusion. You don't know the full story. The situation in the Wandering Realm is actually quite similar to that of the Relic Continent, Elder Song said. In ancient times, the Wandering Realm was also made up of 4 massive supercontinents. These continents weren't as large as the 10 major supercontinents, but together, they would be nearly as vast as the Relic Continent. During the world-ending war, these 4 continents were torn apart by the power of the opposing forces, and some of these continents were even used as weapons, thrown around by the powerhouses. As a result, the entire realm was left in chaos, with no regular pattern to the continents' distribution. That's how the Wandering Realm got its name, because the continents became scattered, wandering across space, Elder Song explained. The elders in the hall were stunned after hearing Elder Song's words. They were particularly shocked by the idea of continents being thrown around. It was beyond terrifying, and they could hardly imagine such a scene. They knew that even an ordinary Heavenly Supreme would find it difficult to achieve such a feat. Considering Elder Song's vast experience and knowledge, they knew that whatever he said was likely true. However, they hadn't expected that the current Wandering Realm, which was embroiled in conflict, had once been a super battleground during the ancient era. So, Elder Song, you mentioned this super battleground. Does it have any connection to the existence of a heavenly supreme powerhouse in the current Wandering Realm? One of the elders asked. Even if this was once a super battleground, it's no longer the ancient era. Things have changed. While there may have been several heavenly supreme powerhouses in the past, even the highest mountains eventually become seas, and the deepest seas can turn into land. I believe that the chance of there being a heavenly supreme powerhouse here is much smaller than the chance of there not being one. Perhaps you've forgotten, Elder Song said, that countless powerhouses in this world, upon their demise, will try to leave behind a legacy or inheritance, if possible. So, even if these powerhouses have fallen, their life's work can still be passed down to future generations. He continued, what I mean is that this realm, where many heavenly supreme powerhouses perished, must certainly have multiple heavenly supreme level inheritances. What we need isn't just to guard against any heavenly supreme powerhouse that might currently exist, but more importantly, to guard against the possibility of a heavenly supreme powerhouse emerging in the future. So where are we supposed to find a heavenly supreme powerhouse who can defend the martial realm? As I mentioned earlier, this wandering realm was once a massive battlefield during the ancient era. Who knows how many earthly supreme experts are buried beneath this domain? As for heavenly supreme experts, they likely number more than a few, Elder Song said. Currently, this wandering realm is in the midst of a busy war. I doubt anyone will spare the attention to notice these matters. As for the heavenly supreme experts we need, we don't necessarily have to search for them. Our real goal should be to find the hidden treasures and inheritances buried underground, and such tasks should be carried out in secret, Elder Song continued, turning to Lin Dong with a faint smile. The heavenly supreme expert we urgently need? I suppose it's you who should take that position? Lin Dong's eyes narrowed slightly as he looked at Elder Song. Elder Song, I have a question. I know what you're about to ask. You're wondering why I never mentioned this before, right? Elder Song replied with a faint smile. It's simple. Unless there are special circumstances, I think it's better for me to know this alone. My goal is to help you unify this realm. To achieve this, even if strange events or phenomena arise, you must trust me. If I revealed this matter too soon, our actions would lose their subtlety. Even fabricated events can be uncovered in the great thousand worlds. This vast world is full of people who can extract others' memories. That's why I chose to keep everyone, including you as the martial realm lord, in the dark. Lin Dong looked at Elder Song, his gaze deep with a glimmer of thought. Truthfully, he couldn't fathom what was going on in this old man's mind. Perhaps, revealing this today was part of his plan, but his intuition told him that this man was trustworthy and must be trusted. The great thousand worlds truly is vast. There are all sorts of people. Sitting beside Lin Dong, Ling Qingzhu's eyes glimmered faintly, and she, too, was deep in thought. However, from this day forward, she had grown wary of Elder Song. This old man's heart was too deep. If he posed any harm to Lin Dong, Ling Qingzhu would not hesitate to take action against him. Elder Song knew Lin Dong would trust him, and he also knew Ling Qingzhu would be suspicious of him. But he didn't care. He turned back and looked at the other elders in the hall. To be honest, I brought this up today due to an unexpected development. This surprise has caught me off guard, but I will still stick to my goal. We will have an earthly supreme expert, and we will have a heavenly supreme expert. What exactly do you mean by special circumstances? Ling Qingzhu finally asked. Does it have to do with the 10 or so continents occupied by the Titan heavenly domain? Indeed, this matter is related to the Titan heavenly domain, Elder Song replied. The sudden occupation of our continents by the Titan heavenly domain must have a hidden motive. Wasn't it just because the Sun God Temple is backing them up that they dared to provoke the martial realm so boldly? One of the elders asked. No, it's not that simple. Let me ask you, what's the point of them doing this? Elder Song countered. Do you think they're just trying to provoke the martial realm's pride? Clearly, that doesn't make sense. The 10 or so continents they've occupied are all remote areas, the ones with the weakest defenses. They have the Sun God Temple and the Stellar Radiance Pavilion backing them up, so their strength is already comparable to ours. Yet, they attack our weakest regions without daring to face us head-on in battle. If anyone should lose face, it should be them, right? Hearing this, some of the elders nodded. Elder Song made a good point. If that were the case, the ones losing face would indeed be the Titan heavenly domain. Moreover, after occupying our 10 or so continents, they didn't eliminate our supreme experts, but instead allowed them to return. You all thought it was a direct provocation, but according to the assumptions I made earlier, their actions don't seem like an attempt to provoke us. Rather, it seems more like they don't want to fully anger the martial realm, Elder Song continued. If they killed our people, we would have 2 reasons to retaliate. 1, to avenge the fallen, and 2, to reclaim our land. But by not killing them, the only reason left is a territorial dispute. As for territorial disputes, we wouldn't send large numbers of experts to fight them openly. 10 or so continents, for the martial realm, are just a dispute. Moreover, since these regions border the Black Spirit clan, our actions are even more restricted. They must have taken that into consideration, Elder Song explained. However, they've still miscalculated. Heh, daring to underestimate me. So, what exactly do you mean by hidden motives? Lin Dong asked. Indeed, I suspect this is no ordinary matter, Elder Song said. His next words caused all the elders in the hall, including Lin Dong, to be shaken to their core. They most likely discovered something there. I suspect it is the remnants of a super-powerful being who perished during the world-ending war. Wandering Realm, Eastern Domain Realm. This was the Martial Realm's territory, with the 4 celestial continents at its center. The surrounding area, spanning 100 million miles, included hundreds of continents and over 1,000 seas, all under Martial Realm's jurisdiction. Not long ago, a group of powerful individuals from the Southern Domain Realm had ventured into the edge of Martial Realm's territory, the mysterious Celestial Realm. The mysterious Celestial Realm, located at the easternmost edge of Martial Realm, was relatively remote and far from other surrounding heavenly domains, so it was rarely populated. This realm encompassed dozens of continents and nearly 30 seas. Among those continents, 4 were vast, each spanning several million miles, and were named the Celestial Continents. The other 8 were smaller, about 1 million miles in diameter, and were named the Elephant Continents. Together, they made up the mysterious Celestial Realm. At this moment, the group of powerful beings from the Southern Domain Realm had set up strict defenses in this foreign territory. As invaders, they had driven out the Martial Realm's defenders and sealed off the entire domain. No one knew how many powerful individuals had arrived. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The sound of wind breaking echoed across the mysterious Celestial Realm. Some passing strong individuals, sensing an unusual danger, chose to bypass the realm. Others, driven by curiosity, stopped to investigate. Only those at the 8th grade supreme level or above could perceive the scale of the forces gathered here. Aside from the overwhelming auras of the most powerful beings, there were at least 300 to 400 supreme realm auras that could be detected. The number of other beings responsible for sealing off the realm exceeded 1 million. Outside the mysterious celestial realm, curious bystanders exchanged glances. They wanted to know who had orchestrated such a large-scale blockade and what these powerful beings were doing. It seems this is already the Martial Realm's territory, right? Martial Realm, that superpower that was just established? I heard the Realm Master of Martial Realm is from a lower dimension, and I think they're a woman? You're foolish. Many people think the Martial Realm's Realm Master is the highest authority, but I've heard that the real powerhouse is the Realm Master's husband, someone called Martial Ancestor. Are all the strong individuals gathered here from the Martial Realm? What are they planning? Something's off. These people don't seem like they're from the Martial Realm. Their aura is more like that of the Southern Domain Realms. Titan Heavenly Domain. Titan Heavenly Domain? The one of the lower 9 Masters? It must be. Only a force at the level of the 9 Masters could mobilize so many supreme-level warriors. The Domain Lord of Titan Heavenly Domain, Tai King, is a true Earth Supreme-level expert. Tisk, Earth Supreme? That level is so distant for us. While the strong individuals outside the mysterious celestial realm were discussing this, they were unaware that deep within the realm, a vast ocean was the site of an unknown operation. Above the ocean, several hundred supreme-level experts hovered in mid-air. In front of them stood 3 figures, all of whom exuded an aura of power that only those at the 8th grade supreme and above could sense. These 3 were the Grand Elders of the Titan Heavenly Domain, Sun God Temple, and Stellar Radiance Pavilion. At this moment, the gaze of the 3 Grand Elders and the hundreds of supreme-level experts behind them was focused on the ocean below. The ocean was not calm, but instead had a massive vortex, tens of thousands of miles in diameter, that had been created by the 3 Grand Elders using their spiritual energy. The vortex was rapidly expanding, and as it grew to 1 million miles across, the expressions of the gathered experts and Grand Elders revealed their excitement. Under the enormous vortex, a land that had been hidden for tens of thousands of years slowly emerged. On this land, deep in the ocean, was a massive ravine, which was the destination of the 3 main forces. They had sensed an ancient, hostile aura beneath this ravine. The discovery of this place by the 3 great forces was a mere coincidence. It was because Tai Wang, the domain lord of the Titan heavenly domain, had once passed through here and sensed a trace of an extraordinary magical beast's aura. At that time, he was unsure, but not long ago. The Titan heavenly domain received some information indicating that the Wandering Realm had once been a super battlefield. Thousands of years ago, in a death struggle against the extraterrestrial evil clan, countless powerful beings perished here. However, no one knew the exact location of their demise, not even Taiwan. But he recalled a certain region he had visited in the past, where he had sensed a similar divine beast aura. Several months ago, Taiwan began sending powerful experts to infiltrate and investigate the area, without alerting the 10 or so supreme experts stationed in the martial realm. It wasn't until about half a month ago that the Titan heavenly domain confirmed that one, possibly more, Earth Supremes had fallen here. If they could obtain treasures left behind by these fallen beings, or perhaps spiritual divine liquid, the Titan heavenly domain's power would receive a significant boost. At that point, not only could they displace the lower lord position, but it might even be possible to rise to the upper lord status. The temptation was great. However, at that time, the Titan heavenly domain still did not dare to directly invade, fearing to alarm the martial realm. Yet, the Earth Supreme relics had to be explored, so Taiwan had to choose a method that was not too costly. This method involved forming an alliance with the Sun God Temple and the Stellar Radiance Pavilion, two forces that had conflicts with the martial realm. To these two factions, the Titan heavenly domain only revealed that an Earth Supreme had fallen here. To that end, the Titan heavenly domain offered each of them several million supreme spiritual liquid, hoping to have their high-ranking officials pressure the martial realm. However, they did not disclose the full truth, such as the fact that the relics likely contained more than just one fallen Earth Supreme. The Titan heavenly domain's real plan was to claim more treasures from the relics. Taiwan's personal goal was to use the legacy within these relics to break through to the upper Earth Supreme level or even higher. The plan was set into motion about a week ago, when the Titan heavenly domain joined forces with the Sun God Temple and Stellar Radiance Pavilion to truly enter the mysterious celestial realm. However, because there were still concerns, they did not eliminate the martial realm experts but allowed them to escape back. Worried that martial realm experts might return to seek justice, the Titan heavenly domain made another move a day ago. Has the 5 million supreme spiritual liquid been delivered to the martial realm? Asked a robust man standing atop a massive ocean whirlpool, addressing the many experts behind him. He was Tai Hung, the Grand Elder of the Titan heavenly domain. "It was delivered half a day ago," replied an 8-rank supreme expert who stepped forward. "They did not refuse our supreme spiritual liquid. Although they did not directly agree to our demands, their reaction seems to imply consent." The method the Titan heavenly domain used was to send 5 million supreme spiritual liquid to take control of the mysterious celestial realm for 1 year, under the pretense of hosting a competition for the younger generation of the Titan heavenly domain. Now we have the excuse, and the supreme spiritual liquid has been delivered. "Heh, let's begin," Tai Hung said with a faint smile to the two Grand Elders from the Sun God Temple and the Stellar Radiance Pavilion. His eyes narrowed, and a vast energy swept out from his body. The aura of a peak 9th rank supreme made the air in the surrounding sea heavier. "There is likely still a spatial seal beneath. Let's act together," Tai Hung said. "Heh, Grand Elder Tai Hung, don't forget our agreement." One of the elders from the Stellar Radiance Pavilion, an old man with a long sword on his back, replied with a faint smile. He grasped the hilt of his sword and drew it. The sword was covered in countless star patterns, and as it radiated starlight, it seemed as though it could twist the very stars themselves. Truly worthy of being one of the 3 great treasures of the Stellar Radiance Pavilion. This star sword is no ordinary item, even among supreme artifacts, Tai Hung said, looking at the star sword in the old man's hand. "I've heard the Star Hung sword is a true treasure. I wonder when I'll have the chance to see it. The Star Hung sword can only be wielded by the pavilion's masters. I, however, am not qualified." The Star Sword Elder replied coolly. Boom. At that moment, the other Grand Elder from the Sun God Temple also activated his power. Boom, boom, boom. The combined force of the 3 9th rank supreme experts reached its peak, and the surrounding supreme experts quickly withdrew tens of thousands of feet, fearing to be affected by their energy. With Tai Heng's harsh shout reverberating across the area, the vast spiritual energy surrounding him surged wildly, rapidly gathering in his hands. The force was so immense that even space itself seemed unable to bear it. When the energy condensed to a terrifying density, Tai Heng finally struck with a palm. Tai Mountain Divine Palm. The terrifying divine palm, capable of destroying an entire mountain range, shot out from Tai Heng's hand with a thunderous boom. It was a gigantic palm, thousands of meters wide, and its solidity was reminiscent of the Earth's supreme celestial force. Between heaven and earth, the hundreds of supreme-level experts watching Tai Heng's strike couldn't help but inwardly gasp. It seemed that Tai Heng was just one step away from reaching the Earth's supreme realm. Seeing Tai Heng's move, the Grand Elders of the other two major factions immediately made their move as well. The Elder wielded his star sword, while the strong figure from the Sun God Temple began to change the hand seals in his hands. Boom! The massive Tai Mountain Divine Palm, thousands of meters wide, shattered a space of 10,000 meters and directly slammed toward the enormous chasm at the bottom of the sea. However, just as it was about to make contact, a beam of light suddenly flashed from the distant horizon. Whoosh! With a sound that tore through the space, all present, including the three Grand Elders, had their expressions changed dramatically. Their eyes locked onto the object piercing through the air, and to their surprise, it wasn't anything unusual. It was just a very ordinary stone, about 10 meters in size. But what horrified Tai Heng and the others wasn't the stone itself, but its speed, which was approaching the speed of light. At this extreme speed, the stone's mass had been amplified to the point where it was equivalent to a massive mountain thousands of meters tall. The target of this stone was none other than Tai Heng's Tai Mountain Divine Palm. A stone of just 10 meters, compared to the vast palm of several thousand meters, was like an elephant facing a mouse. But when the two collided, the scene that unfolded caused a shockwave in the hearts of everyone present. Boom! The 10-meter stone, carrying destructive power, crashed into the Tai Mountain Divine Palm. In the next moment, the entire Divine Palm was obliterated. No one, except for the three individuals at the scene, had expected such terrifying power to be contained within a simple stone. Before anyone could recover, a thunderous voice echoed across the entire mysterious celestial realm. This is the Martial Realm domain. All non-Martial Realm individuals, leave immediately. Repeat, this is the Martial Realm domain. All non-Martial Realm individuals, leave immediately. This is the Martial Realm domain. Those who are not part of the Martial Realm, leave now. As the resonating voice echoed throughout the heavens and earth, Tai Heng and the hundreds of supreme experts around him couldn't help but narrow their eyes, all looking toward the distant horizon. There, the space seemed to shimmer, and light began to radiate, gradually forming into strands of beams. These beams interwove in mid-air, forming a large teleportation array. The teleportation array, which appeared in the distant sky, was about several meters in size. As it slowly began to activate, an elderly figure began to materialize from within. The appearance of this person made Tai Heng and the others' expressions change, as they recognized him instantly. It was Elder Song of the Martial Realm. Elder Song was the head of the three heavenly seat elders of the Martial Realm, second only to the Martial Realm's Realm Master and Martial Ancestor. Looking at Elder Song appearing on the distant horizon, Tai Heng and the others knew that today's matter was unlikely to end easily. As far as wisdom and strategy went, Elder Song was the undisputed #1 in the Martial Realm. From now on, every action they took would likely be under his watch. Elder Song, it seems that the Titan Heavenly Domain has already delivered 500 million supreme spiritual liquids to the Martial Realm. Could it be that you think this is insufficient to rent the mysterious celestial realm for a year? Tai Heng called out to Elder Song in the distance. However, in response to Tai Heng's question, Elder Song coldly laughed. In terms of price, it's quite a bargain. The Martial Realm domain is dozens of times the size of the mysterious celestial realm. If a single mysterious celestial realm can be rented for 500 million supreme spiritual liquids per year, then my entire Martial Realm will rent to you for 2 billion supreme spiritual liquids a year. I wonder if you're interested? Upon hearing Elder Song's words, Tai Hong and the others couldn't help but twitch in their expressions. Elder Song clearly didn't mind biting his own tongue. 2 billion supreme spiritual liquids was an astronomical amount. Even if the entire Titan heavenly domain was scoured, it probably wouldn't contain more than 20 million supreme spiritual liquids. Elder Song really knows how to joke, Tai Hong said, narrowing his eyes as he looked at Elder Song ahead. He knew that Elder Song's deliberately provocative words were meant to cause friction with them. In other words, if they didn't do anything, the martial realm would definitely expel them from here. Elder Tai, what should we do next? The Grand Elder of the Stellar Radiance Pavilion asked in a low voice, sensing that the situation was turning bad. He tightened his grip on the Stellar Radiance sword. In terms of strength, he was no weaker than Elder Song. With the Stellar Radiance sword in hand, he was confident he could suppress him if needed. If things escalated, he would teach Elder Song a lesson. Elder Xing, there's no need to worry. This situation was already anticipated by our domain lord. Tai Hong waved his hand, responding calmly. A faint light flickered in his eyes. Before carrying out this plan, Tai Wang, the domain lord of the Titan heavenly domain, had foreseen all possible outcomes. These outcomes were classified into categories: good, bad, harsh, and the worst-case scenario. Right now, the martial realm's attempt to expel them had only reached the bad level, and the Titan heavenly domain had already made preparations for this. Slowly raising his hand, Tai Hong summoned a gray light that emanated from his palm. Suddenly, a massive black cauldron appeared. The many supreme-level experts nearby raised their eyebrows, sensing the powerful aura emanating from it, which reached the level of a supreme-grade divine artifact. Swish! The black cauldron appeared in Tai Hong's hand, and with a swing, it rapidly expanded in mid-air. In just a few moments, it grew into a massive black cauldron nearly 1,000 feet tall. Inside the cauldron, intense spiritual energy waves spread out. When the crowd looked inside, they saw a vast pond with millions of spiritual fish swimming inside. These were transformed from supreme spiritual liquids. The sheer quantity of it was enough to make even the most powerful supreme experts tempted. The Grand Elders of the Sun God Temple and the Stellar Radiance Pavilion exchanged glances, already speculating that this place might not be an ordinary Earth's supreme secret treasure. Otherwise, the Titan heavenly domain wouldn't have invested so much effort. As all the powerful experts in the area focused on the 5 million supreme spiritual liquids inside the cauldron, Tai Hong descended slowly onto the edge of the massive black cauldron. Looking ahead at Elder Song, he spoke, "Elder Song, there are 5 million more supreme spiritual liquids here. If the previous 5 million weren't enough, the Titan heavenly domain can offer this additional 5 million, totaling 10 million supreme spiritual liquids. Along with this supreme-grade artifact, the Black Pond Divine Cauldron. All of this should be enough to rent the mysterious celestial realm for a year, right? Heh, you Titan heavenly domain really went through so much trouble to secure this mysterious celestial realm. Seems like there's something mysterious going on here," Elder Song said with a faint smile, observing Tai Hong and the 5 million supreme spiritual liquids in the cauldron. "To be honest, Elder Song, the reason we want to rent this place is indeed for personal reasons. However, these personal reasons are not something we can easily reveal," Tai Hong replied. The Grand Elders of the Sun God Temple and the Stellar Radiance Pavilion behind him were taken aback. Could Tai Hong be preparing to expose the secrets of this place? "No need. I already know what your so-called personal reasons are," Elder Song replied nonchalantly. Hearing this, even Tai Hong's heart skipped a beat. He had heard that Elder Song knew everything in the world. Could it be that even the secret treasure hidden here was known to him? But what Elder Song said next made Tai Hong's face turn red. "Heh, do you think I don't know why you enclosed this place? And this matter, perhaps even the Grand Elders of the Sun God Temple and Stellar Radiance Pavilion don't know about it." Elder Song said calmly, "It happened hundreds of years ago. At that time, Tai Wang of the Titan Heavenly Domain came to this sea region with his daughter and other family members, only to be ambushed by unknown strong forces. In that battle, Tai Wang's entire family was killed. Yes, killed. The only one who escaped was Tai Wang himself. After that, he founded the Titan Heavenly Domain. If you think I'm wrong, consider whether Tai Wang is still the only one supporting the entire Titan Heavenly Domain now? Upon hearing Elder Song's words, all the powerful experts present were shocked. Even the Grand Elders of the Sun God Temple and the Stellar Radiance Pavilion looked towards Tai Hung. In the Titan Heavenly Domain, Tai Hung was the closest to Tai Wang. However, what the two elders saw was Tai Hung, whose face was extremely flushed. At this moment, Tai Hung was seething with anger, for only he truly understood that Elder Song's words just now were complete nonsense, and they might even have been a malicious curse aimed at Tai King. While it was true that Tai King was the only one left, his family members, due to their shorter lifespans, had passed away before him. Tai Hung did not know where Elder Song had heard this information from, but he breathed a sigh of relief, for at least he could now be certain that Elder Song did not know about the Hidden Earth Supreme's secret treasure within this place. Moreover, Elder Song's false information earlier just served to prove the covert actions of the Titan Heavenly Domain, further clarifying why they had expended so much effort to probe this area. Since Elder Song knows about this, I can no longer keep it hidden. It is indeed as you said. Since the matter is like this, does Elder Song not want to show some face to my Titan Heavenly Domain? Tai Hung said. As soon as Tai Hung finished speaking, Elder Song raised his hand. A cosmic bag appeared in his palm. Then, Elder Song threw the cosmic bag toward Tai Hung. This is your supreme spiritual liquid. I'm returning it to you. Tai Hung reached out and caught the supreme spiritual liquid. However, as soon as he touched the cosmic bag, his expression subtly changed. He felt that the spiritual energy emanating from the bag was far below the expected level of 5 million supreme spiritual liquid. In the Great Thousand Worlds, supreme spiritual liquid was almost a pillar-level trade currency. When the amount of such a currency reached a certain level, it became difficult to quantify precisely. For example, distinguishing between 3 million and 3 million and one supreme spiritual liquid was practically impossible with the naked eye. In such cases, another method must be used, the fluctuation detection technique. The more supreme spiritual liquid gathered, the stronger the energy fluctuations it would produce. The fluctuation from 20,000 supreme spiritual liquid would be twice as strong as that from 10,000. A high-level supreme expert, due to years of training, could judge the precise quantity of supreme spiritual liquid within a 10-digit accuracy for amounts under 10 million. Thus, when Tai Hung touched the cosmic bag, he immediately knew that the amount of supreme spiritual liquid inside did not exceed 1 million. 4 million supreme spiritual liquid was missing. First, I represent the martial realm and tell you that this place will not be leased to you, Elder Song said to Tai Hung. Then, everyone saw 4 beams of light emerge from behind Elder Song, and soon, these beams formed 4 massive transmission arrays, each with hundreds of figures emerging. These were all experts from the martial realm, and their power levels were no less than that of the supreme realm. Second, last time, you injured 10 or so of my martial realm's people. Each of you must compensate with 150,000 supreme spiritual liquid. Elder Song's voice resounded across the heavens as the hundreds of martial realm experts appeared. Tai Heng's expression darkened upon hearing this. Finally, you invaded my martial realm's territory without authorization. A fine of 2 million supreme spiritual liquid. As Elder Song's words echoed across the heavens, a great uproar erupted. They had not expected the martial realm to be so forceful. The hundreds of supreme experts that appeared were clearly here to confront Tai Hung and the others. A confrontation on the scale of the wandering realm thus began. However, just as the martial realm experts and Tai Heng's group were about to engage in a large-scale standoff, 3 figures at an incredibly fast speed tore through the air tens of millions of miles away at the edge of the mysterious celestial realm. The terrifying speed directly carved a massive ocean trench below. These 3 were none other than Lin Dong, Ling Qingzhu, and Qing Tan. After traveling at such speed for several minutes, a vast continent, several tens of millions of miles wide, appeared before them. The surface of this continent was a chilling black, and the coldness here had caused the surrounding sea to freeze into a black ice sheet. This black was not the corrosive black of an external evil race, but a different kind of coldness that sent a shiver down one's spine. At the heart of this black continent, Lin Dong and his companions sought a massive black energy shield stretching millions of miles. Within it, there were many powerful auras, but the black shield itself gave a sense of being sealed off. We've arrived. Lin Dong's group stopped at the edge of the continent. Looking at the black land ahead, Lin Dong said calmly,